everyone. Hope you're doing well. My name is Neeraj and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about my journey, how I landed a job at Microsoft, and maybe how you can also prepare for your own journey and maybe work for one of the companies that you may be dreaming to work for, right? So before I talk about my professional journey, let me talk about some of my personal journey in order for you to understand how I landed into this job role. So I was born in Bangalore, which is a city in India. It is in the south part of India. And I'm originally from Haryana, which is a state in the north of India. My father was in defense, because of which we used to travel a lot. So that's why I was born in Bangalore. And then we traveled around India a lot. So that adaptability or adjustment was there in our lives from the beginning, right? So we had that from the start of our life. So from there, I moved to Delhi, and most of my schooling was done from Delhi. It is the capital of India. And from there, I basically did my schooling up to 12th from in the subjects of biology and math as well. So I was a science student, but I took both biology and math. I wouldn't recommend anyone to take that. It was actually really dreadful. If you take like a biology as a subject or math as a subject, it's much more easier for you to manage that. At least for me, it was. So after my schooling, so I did my schooling from Delhi and I got into college in Delhi University. So I enrolled myself into one of the colleges of Delhi University. It is quite a prestigious university in India. And I joined a course of BSc Zoology Honors, which was a biology course. Okay. So it was study about animals. So you can see I am right now working in IT, and at that time I was working or I was basically learning topics related to biology at that time. In a parallel universe, I think I might have been a doctor as such. But to be honest with you, I did not have any goal to go into zoology honors or what I wanted to do. I did not have any idea on what I wanted to do at that time. So I did my zoology honors, although I was really passionate about biology as well, and I got to learn a lot of things there as well. I got some opportunities where we had to present some of these things. So whatever we were studying, we had to present it as a presentation to the entire class. And I knew that I really loved doing that. I was passionate about teaching at that time. So in those 3 years, I actually enjoyed my time. I loved the subjects that I was studying. But in the third year, I got an opportunity where there was campus drive going on in our college. So in entire Delhi University, you have a campus drive where you can get yourself enrolled and you can work for any of the best companies in India. Or these are some of the MNCs which are also like global companies as well. So I got enrolled myself into one of those campus drive, and there was a company called Wipro which was doing this hiring at that time. So I sat for that interview, and then luckily I got through from that interview, and I landed a job in Wipro. So I did not look for too many companies at that time. I was really naive, so I did not have any goal what I wanted to do. I was just happy with what I was given at that time, right? So I got myself enrolled into Wipro, and they had a program called Work Integrated Learning Program, WILP. It was called at that time, so abbreviated as WILP. It was a program in which you had to sign a contract for 4 years and you were given a MTech degree. So some of you are going to think about this and say MTech is like for 2 years. Why are you doing MTech for 4 years? Since we had a 3-year degree previously, so I had done my graduation from 2012 to 2015, we had to take a 4-year course in order for us to get that MTech Work Integrated Learning degree. So I had to do that course. Otherwise, you can't get the degree. These are mostly the legal things that are there. So we had to do that 4-year course in order for us to get the MTech degree from VIT. So we did our MTech in IT for 4 years. So we used to be like normal employees throughout the 5 days from Monday to Friday. And over the weekends, we used to have those college sessions that we used to run. So it was actually really amazing because you get to meet your friends over the weekends. And during the weekdays, you used to work on different things. In my first year, around 2015, I started working in one of the projects, which was kind of a technical call center, right? So you used to get a lot of calls related to Outlook issues, Skype issues, a lot of other technologies issues that anyone might have, right? So it was kind of a technical call center that I got enrolled into, and I feel like I was stupid to take that project actually, because in my training days, so we used to have a 3 month training in Wipro where they taught us a lot of things, and I was actually one of the toppers in that class. I think I found my passion in one of those classes. So I took that project, and I felt that I had made a big mistake by joining IT. I hated my job at that time. So 1 year or around 8 or 9 months, I had to struggle a lot in that project. I did not like my job as well at that time. So you can see that you may land into some things which you might hate and feel like you're not there or you're not meant to be there, right? So I got into that project, and luckily that project was taken away from Wipro, or it was offboarded from Wipro, and I started working on a different project where I was part of a team called Microsoft Business Unit. So that entire business unit was specifically dealing with Microsoft technologies. So we used to work on any of the Microsoft product, be it Office 365, be it on-premises products like Skype, Exchange, and all of that. So I got enrolled into that project, and I feel like I was really, really lucky. I got to into an amazing team, and I would say that that was one of the best teams you could have worked for at that time. So this entire team was like an implementation team. So we used to do a lot of implementation projects. We used to be involved in throughout the journey of the project, right? So we used to talk to pre-sales guys, create documentation on pre-sales. We used to design architectures, and after all of that was done, we also used to implement the products in customer locations as well. So I worked for Wipro around 5 years, and in that time, I worked with more than 40 plus companies. So the overall learning that I had was actually really amazing. I started my journey in Office 365, but over time, I was also into Azure and AWS. I did a lot of self learning in those technologies because I did not find any mentors as such at that time. So I watched a lot of videos, got through the documentations, and I did a lot of certifications in those topics, because of which I started actually learning those technologies on my own. So it was around 2017 when I did my first cloud certification. And I think I started getting enrolled into other things as well. And I always had the passion to teach. So during those times as well, whatever I learned, I used to teach it within my team. Also, we used to have those sessions where anyone could join. So I used to deliver a lot of cloud sessions. Uh, in some of those cases, we had like 1,500 or 2,000 students as well. Sometimes we also used to teach to like one person. So yeah, so I got to teach a lot of things at that time as well. So I started doing a lot of certification in 2017. And over time, I actually learned cloud by doing a lot of labs and watching those videos. So over time, I basically taught a lot of topics, and I was quite good at those topics as well. And I got a lot of experience working on cloud. After that, around 2015, I thought I should change my company. So I had to switch from Wipro. So I started looking for some jobs, and I asked a few of my friends to recommend me or refer me to some of those companies, right? So I was referred to Accenture and HCL. And luckily, I got interviews from both the companies, and I actually landed a job, or I got an offer from both the companies at that time. So I had two options. Either I could join HCL or I could join Accenture at that time. I preferred to join Accenture because the overall pay grade I was getting, plus the overall work that I was getting there, was quite good. So I had worked on Azure somewhat, and I worked on Office 365. But over there in Accenture, we had a project where I was to work on Azure DevOps. And I did not had a chance to work on DevOps too much prior to this. So I actually jumped onto that opportunity, and I started working on Azure DevOps. for one of the European clients for Accenture. So in Accenture, it was actually really an amazing journey. I got to learn a lot of things. And I would say Accenture is one of the best companies anyone can work for because there was a lot of, because the entire company culture is based on being people centric, right? So they drive a lot of initiatives which are people centric. And I really love those companies which are people centric, right? Especially for my team, we had amazing leaders. Uh, some of my leaders were like even more growth minded or having a lot of learning in different technologies, and they always had a great vision on what they wanted to do with the team. So some of the mentors that you can get over there, I think you can't get anywhere. So in Accenture, I actually worked on quite a few projects. I was a team lead at that time, so I led a team of folks who were working on Azure. They were quite new to Azure, so I had to do a lot of works in the beginning. But over time, everybody got used to it, and everybody was good on different areas that we worked. So I understood DevOps and infrastructure as coding at that time in Accenture. And after that, I also got promoted in Accenture. So I was promoted to a manager in one of the projects. And I also got pay grade hike 2 times in Accenture in 1 year. So some of you are going to say, this is the best company you can work for, right? What else do you need? If you're getting pay hike and you're also getting promoted, but at that time, I think I had talked to quite a few of my friends, and I saw that what they were working on and what was their pay grade, right? So I saw that in the market, what was the market sentiment at that time. So I actually started giving a few interviews after 1.5 year working in Accenture, and I created a profile on uh, Indeed, I believe, right? And Naukri.com, right? I believe Naukri.com is one of the best platforms that worked for me. And I started receiving a lot of calls for interviews, right? And I received calls from 10 plus companies for different job roles. Some of the job roles I did not want to take at that time, so I declined it. But whatever job role I felt like I can work on, one of the job roles that I was looking for was a solution architect role, so cloud solution architect. And the other role, which was quite interesting for me, I'm not sure if I wanted to do it, but I felt like quite, it was interesting. I might have done that role as well, was pre-sales architect. So you had to be a pre-sales architect, you had to be technical, you had to understand the pricing of different services as well. So that was also very interesting role that I was getting offers for. And I actually gave around 9, 10 interviews, and I landed around 7 or 8 interviews from those companies. And these companies were not like small companies; these were large MNCs that were there. Uh, it took a lot of time for me to do that learning. So I had been working on these services for quite some time, but I dedicated separate time to learn and try to ace those interviews. There were a lot of strategies I used how to ace those interviews. If you want, I can create a separate video on how I've actually cracked some of those interviews or what worked for me actually. So I landed those interviews. So these were big companies like PwC, Walmart, Deloitte, Rackspace. There were a lot of other companies as well, which I landed interview from. And I actually thought about joining quite a few of those companies, but I actually weighed what company might be the best for me. So I got a final offer from HCL as well. In HCL, they told me that they're going to work or give me work related to migration. And I was really interested into migration at that time because I had lost touch of migration for 1 or 2 years. And I had a background on those areas as well. So I wanted to move into such a team, right? And they were also giving me a good pay hike. I was also considering Walmart at that time, but the role that I was getting there was not as per the things that I was expecting or I was thinking in my space, right? I had to work on a specific Azure service, and I felt like I will be trapped in one service itself. There was not a good growth opportunity for me. Whereas in HCL, I had the option to work on multi-cloud. So they were talking about migration on Azure, AWS, and Google. So I thought the overall learning that I'm going to get in that company is going to be good. So I actually joined HCL in December of 2021, I believe. So I joined HCL at that time. And after joining HCL, I worked on a lot of migration projects, and I actually had a lot of learning in that project. So I think it was quite good. But at that time, started seeing some of the posts on LinkedIn related to jobs on Microsoft, right? So someone I think posted that they have a job opportunity at Microsoft, and I saw that post and I reached out to them and asked them that I've been a trainer for some time. I understand the overall space that we have. Would you consider referring me for this job? So one of the folks on LinkedIn actually referred me. So I think my networking actually worked at that time. And I got a interview from Microsoft in December. I had already joined HCL and I was talking with Microsoft for quite some time, but I was not getting an interview from them. But after I shared my profile and they reached out to me and they said that they are okay with hiring me or they're okay with having me go through those interviews, I actually started giving those interviews. And in the next 1 or 2 months, I actually gave like 3 or 4 interviews and I was able to land a job at Microsoft. So currently, in April, 4th of April, 2022, I joined Microsoft and I'm working as a Microsoft technical trainer at Microsoft. Uh, this is part of worldwide learning. So we deliver advanced role-based courses on Azure, Office 365, and other services. Mostly we are focused on Azure side. We also deliver a lot of security courses as well. So my core skill areas are in Azure and security. I am also taking some PL courses, but I'm not an expert on this as of now. But yes, my core areas in Azure and in security. So this is the area that I'm working on currently. If you talk about the key takeaways from my journey, uh, one of the things that I feel is most important for anyone to have is a growth mindset. So if you have a growth mindset and you're ready to learn new things, it really helps you to get into these job roles. Also, you should do some sacrifices as well, right? If you want to grow in life, you'll have to take out some personal time, study in that time, and then go for basically taking some certifications or taking some new courses and understand those topics. And once you understand those topics and you want to work on those areas, then you can start taking interviews and or basically landing those jobs that you want. Also, I feel like networking is really important. So if you want to land into these big companies, you should know a few folks or at least get referrals from some folks. But you should not go to someone and ask for a referral if you have no experience on those areas. I had been teaching for a long time. I was a MCT from 2018 and I had those teaching experiences as well, because of which I was able to pass those interviews. Okay. Don't go reach out to someone and you have zero experience on those areas. If you have done some self study and you have been working on those areas for quite some time, only then try to land or go for those job opportunities. And always look at the job description that you're getting. If you understand the job description and you know those topics, only then go for interviews. If you don't understand those job topics or if you don't understand some of the things that are being asked in those job descriptions, please don't waste your time or someone else's time giving those interviews. Try to learn the things in the job ID. If you understand all the job description, then go for interviews or then go for to ask someone to recommend you, refer you to get hired. All right. So I hope my journey may be helpful to someone. If you have any questions, any queries, please feel free to type it in chat. I am more than happy to answer your questions. You can also follow me in socials. You can drop me a message if you have any questions or queries. I'll be more than happy to answer it. If you want me to create a follow-up video, maybe on how I cracked those interviews, what kind of interviews you can see. So I can also talk about that. So just post it in chat and I think, or in the comment section, I will be able to answer some of those queries. So I thank you all of you for your time and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See you in the next video.